To watch these important lessons, subscribe to DP Education's YouTube channel right now. Click on the bell icon to stay updated on the latest lessons. Sri Lanka's largest free online school, DP Education.
So my dear children, in the earlier chapter, we discussed several questions related to the natural disasters lesson. So, but however, we managed to discuss only several questions, only few questions that was given in your textbook. So within this chapter, we'll be discussing further questions related to this lesson, and these questions are somewhat extra questions to replenish your knowledge. So let's head on to see the questions then. So the first question which is given is, now the first type of questions which is given here is MCQ type questions, my dear children. So here you have to choose the most accurate answer out of the given options. So first question given, a natural disaster that affects Sri Lanka. Drought, lightning and thundering, landslide, above all. So it's very simple, my children. So we have discussed that drought, landslide, lightning and thundering and floods are the main types of natural disasters that occurs in Sri Lanka. Those are the most common ones. So all of these answers, right? All of these answers, drought, lightning and thundering and landslide, all of these three answers are correct. So you have to select the above all option in here. So the answer would be above all. Next one. Natural disaster is destructive incidents occurring due to human beings. Destructive incidents occur due to chemical substances. Naturally occurring destructive incidents. None of the above. So the question itself refers to natural disaster. Natural disaster means these things happen within our nature without the influence of man. Actually, for some reasons, when you take the core reasons, there can be several causes, right? There can be several man-made causes. But however, if you take these disasters, mainly those things are going to occur without the influence of man. Naturally, those things are happening. That's why it is called as a natural disaster. So, naturally occurring destructive incidents are referred as natural disasters. So, it is very simple. A natural disaster is a naturally occurring destructive incident. Okay, it's a naturally occurring destructive incidents. Right. Natural disasters that does not affect Sri Lanka usually. So a natural disaster this does not affect Sri Lanka usually. Earth slip, lightning, tsunami, earthquake. Earth slip, lightning, tsunami and earthquake. So here we know that these two are correct. There is no problem in these two answers. Earth slip is correct. Earth slip means it's the landslide, right? So it's correct. No problem in it. Then lightning is also correct because within the lesson we have studied all of these two. And you know that tsunami waves, those things are not that much often to Sri Lanka. But however, tsunami waves, there is a possibility that tsunami waves may come to Sri Lanka. You know that in 2004, right, Sri Lanka faced a terrible incident regarding the tsunami waves on the December month. So, these tsunami waves has a probability to come and hit Sri Lanka. There's a probability. So, we can take that one as well. There is no problem in it. So, usually Even though these three natural incidents or natural disasters may occur in Sri Lanka, but however, usually there are no such earthquakes. Terrible earthquakes will not happen around Sri Lanka because we are not that much near to a tectonic plate margin. So therefore, earthquake should be the answer that does not affect Sri Lanka usually. As it is given as usually, you can take earthquake without any problem. So earthquake is the answer. Next one. Not a reason for flood. Not a reason for flood. Heavy rain. Not a reason. So you have to select the one which is not a reason. So heavy rain is a reason for flood. So it is correct. Blockage of water drains. It is also correct because you know that instantaneous flood will happen because of the blockage of water drains. Right? Instant flood, that's going to occur if there is high rain during within the urban areas. So in that case, my dear children, instantaneous floods will occur. Okay. So this is occurring mainly due to blockage of water drains. Water drains will overflow due to blockage, and by that way a flood will occur. So that thing is referred as instantaneous flood. Okay. So change of pattern of rainfall, irregular land use. Irregular land use is correct. But change of pattern of rainfall, that's a reason for drought, right? That's the main reason for the drought. So it's not going to be a main reason for the flood, right? So the answer would be change of pattern of rainfall. That should be the answer for the question number 4, as it is mentioned in about, not a reason for floods. Then the next one. Instantaneous flood occur mainly because of overflow of rivers. Incorrect, right? Incorrect. Overflow of waterways. That is also, we can say that incorrect. Blockage of water drainage systems in urban areas. That's the answer, my dear children, because we know that due to blockage of drainage systems, right? If a heavy rain occurs in a certain urban area, then these drains will overflow, and because of that a flood will occur. Okay, so that flood is referred as instantaneous flood. Okay, so here the answer would be the question, the response number 3, or the C1 is the answer. The blockage of water drainage systems in urban areas. That's the main reason for instantaneous flood. Next one. Influence caused due to flood. Spread of communicable diseases. So communicable diseases means these diseases are spreading, means they are communicating with each other. Okay. So there are two types of diseases, communicable diseases and uncommunicable diseases. Okay. So here the question is telling about, or the response is telling about, communicable diseases. Communicable diseases means those diseases are spreading from one person to another. Right? Those diseases are spreading from one person to another. Like the common cold. Okay, you know that the common cold is spreading, right? So these kind of diseases are referred as communicable diseases. So spread of communicable diseases will happen because of the flood, mainly because of contaminated water. You know that the water is getting contaminated because of the flood, mainly because of the latrine systems and the waste which is getting collected on the water, and there are other different causes as well, right? So all of these causes will contaminate the water sources, especially like wells, springs, and so on. So when people are going to drink this water, contaminated water, right, that will cause several diseases. So these diseases are going to communicate or spread among the people who are living in a certain area that has flood. So therefore, spread of communicable diseases is a correct answer. So it is correct. It's an influence that is going to occur because of the flood. It is correct. Next one, loss of lives. That is also correct. No problem in it. Lives will be lost because of the flood. Right? Next one, damage to houses. That is also correct. You know that damages will occur to houses, properties, and also for the lives as well. So all of these responses are correct. So you have to choose the answer above all. All of these incidents or all of these things will influence because of flood, or these will cause because of flood. Okay. Right. Then the next question. A communicable disease spreads due to flood. Diarrhea, malaria, cold and fever, hydrophobia. Right. Diarrhea means that's the main symptom which occurs due to drinking of, that's the main disease actually going to occur due to drinking or due to usage of contaminated water. So within diarrhea, the stomach pain will occur and the vomiting, right? Sometimes the dizziness and loss of water from the body as the stool or the fecal materials will pass within the liquid state. So due to loss of water, right, your body will get dehydrated. So you may feel dizziness, sometimes you will fall down. So these are several conditions or several symptoms of diarrhea. So diarrhea is caused mainly because of drinking contaminated water or because of using contaminated food. Okay. So diarrhea parasite, the diarrhea is getting spreaded because of a parasite. So this diarrhea parasite is living on this contaminated water of food. So when a person is going to use or when a person is going to consume those contaminated water, the diarrhea parasite will come in contact with the body of the person and the person will get infected. By that way, the diarrhea disease is getting spreaded. Especially getting spreaded because of the contaminated water. Okay. So here it is mentioning that a communicable disease with that is spread due to flood. So flood is a condition that can contaminate the water sources. So my dear children, the first and foremost answer is correct. Diarrhea. Malaria is getting spreaded because of the mosquitoes. Cold and fever, once again, it's getting spreaded in normal conditions also. These diseases are getting cold and fever. These diseases are getting spreaded, no. Right? Not because of the water, mainly. Then, hydrophobia, that's getting spreaded because of the mammals, especially by cats and dogs and monkeys. Okay, hydrophobia. So all of these answers are incorrect, but the first one is the only response that we can take as the accurate answer for the question number 7, my dear children. So here, the communicable disease that spread due to flood is diarrhea. Next one, a district that heavily affected by flood more often. Now, a good question, right? Usually when you take Sri Lanka receives rain, right, mainly from monsoonal rains. Okay. But however, if you take the wet zone, in wet zone, my dear children, the rain is more often seen. So therefore, in wet zone, we can observe the flood more often. Among the wet zone, there is a district. Usually, now when a heavy rain comes, right, because of the heavy rain, this particular district or this particular area will definitely get flood. Usually they are getting flood. So this district is the Ratnapura district, right? You know that Hambantota and Ampara areas, those areas are somewhat located, those areas are located near to dry zone. I mean the amount of rainfall received by Hambantota and Ampara areas are very less, right? We refer these areas as arid areas. Less amount of water or less amount of rainfall can be observed, okay, for those areas. So by looking at the responses also, you can select the answer because Ratnapura is the district which is located within the wet zone, okay, right. So the answer is Ratnapura district, that is the district that heavily affected by the flood more often out of the given ones. Next one, instantaneous flood occur mainly in, so this is very simple my dear children, this is a sudden flood. So sudden floods are mainly occurring in urban areas, not in rural areas. Usually in rural areas, the flood is going to occur because of the overflow of rivers or any other waterways. Mainly because of the drainage systems, these sudden flood will occur or instantaneous flood will occur. So instantaneous flood will occur mainly in urban areas without proper drainage systems. So if the drainage systems are not that much properly fixed, then the risk of getting this sudden flood or instantaneous flood is very high, okay. So the answer would be urban areas without proper drainage systems, okay. Then the next one, precaution that can be followed to manage the flood disaster. Precaution that can be followed to manage the flood disaster. Having a battery powered radio. So having a battery powered radio will help you to get guides, right? This will help you to get guides which are given from the government. You know that the government is going to give several instructions for the people who are suffering from a certain natural disaster. So in order to listen for those guides, you have to have some communication device. So a battery powered radio would be a handy device to get those information. So my dear children, a precaution that can be followed to manage the flood disaster. So this is talking about the management, no? That means already this thing has happened. So in that case, what are the things that we can do to manage the disaster? So we can listen to the people who are in the government, or we can listen to the authorities. So to listen to those authorities, we need to have a communication device. So a radio is a communication device. So my dear children, this answer would be correct because having a radio, right, having a battery power radio will help you to get guides from the government. So it will help to manage the flood disaster up to a certain extent. Okay. Then the next one, going to an elevated place. It is absolutely correct. You know that if you go to an elevated place, you can, I mean, like, your life can be saved. Okay. Most of the people, they travel or they go to an elevated place if there is a risk of flood. So by traveling to an elevated place, we can manage the flood disaster, right? Because the life is the one which is more valuable rather than the physical objects, right? So therefore, the loss of lives can be minimized if you travel to an elevated place. So it is correct. Next one, disconnecting the electricity supply of the houses. This is also correct because you know that usually because of flood, you know that usually the houses are going to cover from water. So in that case, sometimes there is a risk, right? Sometimes there is a risk that upon covering of water, right, what will happen? The electrical ways, switches, and the wires, they might come in contact with the water. So therefore, there can be, leakage of electricity to external environment. So it's not a good thing. It's a very dangerous thing. So in some cases, my dear children, these might hurt, or these incidents or this electricity will hurt for the normal people, right? So therefore, there is a risk. There is a probability of having electrically shocked, or electrical shocks may occur, right? But however, my dear children, if you take an area, if a certain area is getting affected with the flood, most of the times the electricity will be disconnected from the electricity board. Okay, but however, there is a risk. So there is a higher risk of getting electrocuted because of the flood situation. It's because sometimes these electrical ways will be covered with water. So in that case, water will conduct electricity. So there can be issues, or there can be accidents related to electricity. So disconnecting the electrical supply to houses is also a good option to manage the disaster caused by the flood. Okay. So all of these responses are correct. So you have to select the answer above all. So above all is our correct answer. Then the question number 11. Reason for drought: lack of monsoon winds, heavy rain, having high temperature during a day, chemical agriculture. Reason for drought, it's very simple. Heavy rain will not occur, or heavy rain will not cause drought for sure. Heavy rain will cause floods, right? Not droughts. In order to have droughts, there should be less amount of water. So if heavy rain comes, you know that it's obvious to us that the amount of water in a particular area will definitely increase. So it is incorrect. Then the next one, having high temperature during a day. Having high temperature during a day, it's mentioning about a day. So within a certain day, if there is high temperature, then it's not going to be a problem, right? I mean, it's not mentioning about a temperature like 100 degrees of Celsius, no. So if so, it's not a drought. I mean, like it's like an apocalypse, no. So in that case, the whole people who are, almost all the organisms who are living in the environment will die. So they are not going to mention like that kind of a situation over here. So having a high temperature means usually when you take the dry season, okay, like in February month, right? Usually sometimes the temperature will get increased, okay, like up to 30 degrees of Celsius. However, the people can still live on the surface or within our biosphere. That's not going to be a problem, because 30 degrees of Celsius means, right, it's a manageable temperature. But however it is high, the usual temperature around our biosphere, or usual room temperature is from 25 to 28 degrees of Celsius. So having a higher temperature within a certain day, within just one day, it's not going to create a drought. If that climate or if that weather condition is going to long last, in that case, my dear children, what will happen? A drought season may come. Okay. But however, it's not going to affect if it is going to occur within one day. So we can't take this answer. Next one, chemical agriculture. Once again, it is incorrect. No, there's no relationship between the chemical agriculture and the drought. So the correct answer would be lack of monsoon winds. Straightforward theoretical questions, my dear children. Lack of monsoon winds will definitely reduce the amount of rainfall within a certain area, because wind is the one which is going to carry rain. Okay. So therefore, due to lack of monsoonal winds, the rain will reduce. If the rain is going to reduce, then a drought will come. Next question. Southwest monsoon occurs during. Southwest monsoon. Now, southwest monsoon, if you take southwest monsoon, right? Southwest monsoon mainly occurs during the months of, now November to February is incorrect. Okay. November to February is incorrect. We know that. So, southwest monsoon mainly occurs from May to September. From May to September. Not from November to February. Okay. So, it's incorrect. A is incorrect. January, September, once again incorrect. April, September, once again incorrect. The correct answer would be May to September. Right. Convectional low intermonsoonal rain occurs to wet zone, dry zone, all regions, none of the above. So, it's very simple. The convectional rains or intermonsoonal rains, this rain will occur to each and every place in the country. So, all regions. 14th one, northeast monsoon occurs during, northeast monsoon is going to occur during November to February. Time period November to February, right? Okay. November to February. Right. Next question. El Nino phenomenon occurs due to increase of temperature of the surface water in Pacific Ocean, decrease of temperature of the surface water in Pacific Ocean, increase of surface water in Pacific Ocean, decrease of surface water in Pacific Ocean. So, you know that El Nino phenomenon mainly occurs because of increase in temperature, right? But increase in temperature in surface water of the Pacific Ocean. El Nino phenomenon is going to occur mainly because of increasing the temperature of surface water in Pacific Ocean. So, not because of increasing water level in the Pacific Ocean, okay, but because of increasing the temperature. So, the term temperature is very important here. Next one. Convectional or intermonsoonal rain occurs during November to February, March, April, April to September, May to September. So, we know that these answers are incorrect. November to February is incorrect. May to September is once again incorrect. Intermonsoonal rains occurs during the New Year season. So, the New Year season is coming in April. So, March to April would be the answer, right? During the New Year season, my dear children, heavy thundering and lightnings will occur, right? So, during the time period of March to April, these convectional rains are going to occur. That is the main reason for the occurrence of lightning and thundering during the time period of the New Year season. Okay, right. So, March and April would be the correct answer. Convectional rains or intermonsoonal rains will occur during March to April. So, that's why, my dear children, during the April month, even the book says so. Even your textbook, if you look at your textbook, I mean, we have discussed already these things related to the question, related to the textbook, my dear children. And I think you could remember that there was a phrase or there was a sentence given that the most number of people who are having accidents due to lightning is recorded during the month of April. That's mainly because of these incidents or the convectional or intermonsoonal rains. Okay. Right. So this is the answer for the 16th question. Okay, March to April is the correct answer, right? Then we'll move on to see the next question. A greenhouse gas. Greenhouse gas. It's very simple, my dear children. We discussed already these things, right? Greenhouse gas, because we discussed about the global warming, and also we identified that having greenhouse gases or emission of greenhouse gases is the main reason for the global warming. So carbon dioxide gas is a gas that considered as a greenhouse gas. Okay, carbon dioxide gas. Oxygen, hydrogen and argon, those gases are not considered as greenhouse gases. Okay. A natural cause of drought. Wastage of water by excess usage. Dry winds. Irregular constructions. Deforestation. They are asking about a natural cause. So if it is a natural cause, right, it should occur naturally without the interference of humans, right? Without the interference of human, this incident should occur naturally. So wastage of water by excess usage, irregular constructions and deforestation, all of these incidents are human, all of these incidents are going to occur because of the humans, right? Humans are the ones who are wasting water by the excess usage. Humans are the ones who are going to build up irregular constructions, and humans are the ones who are going to do deforestation for their agricultural purposes and for their construction purposes. So, my dear children, the correct answer would be dry winds. You know that dry winds occur naturally. So, a natural cause for drought is dry winds. Okay, dry winds. Agricultural activity used for conservation of water. Agricultural activity used for conservation of water. Increase in the capacity of reservoirs. Use in drought-resistant crops. Usage of alternative ways of generation of power. Reforestation. Agricultural activity. So, if it is an agricultural activity, it should be related to a crop or something like that. So, it's very simple to select an answer from these given things, my dear children. Using drought-resistant crops, because they are referring to an agricultural activity, no? So, if it is an agricultural activity, this should be related to something which is going to be planted on the soil. Okay, that's what we mean by simply an agriculture. So here agricultural activity used for the conservation of water can be taken, the second option, using drought resistant crops. Next one, alternative source to hydropower. Alternative source to hydropower. Sea waves, wind power, solar power, above all. Now if you take the country Sri Lanka, Sri Lanka is highly dependent on hydropower, right? Sri Lanka is highly dependent on hydropower. So, hydropower stations are mainly operated from water. If there is less amount of water, then the amount of electricity which is getting generated by a hydropower plant is also going to reduce. So, the droughts that's going to occur within Sri Lanka is going to heavily affect for the generation of electricity. It's because the water contained within the reservoirs is going to reduce because of the drought. In that case, the production of electricity or the amount of electricity which can produce will definitely decrease. So we have to find alternative sources. In finding alternative sources, we should definitely go for we should definitely go for resources or the energy sources, right? Energy sources that are not going to destroy within a certain time period. Okay, that are not going to destroy within certain time period. I mean, these energy sources should be long lasting, and they should be, if we can, they should be free of charge. They should be available free, without a charge or without the spend of money. Now, if you go for the fuel or in coal like like thing, okay, if you go for an energy source like coal or else fuel, it will definitely cost. So going for coal or fuel power plant is not going to be economical for a certain country. So therefore, my dear children, we have to find out energy sources, right? We have to find out energy sources which are not going to destroy within a certain time period. I mean, they should be long lasting. You know that coal and fuel are going to destroy, or those things are going to reduce within a certain time period, right? Then after that, we won't be able to recreate those things. Okay, so therefore, always we should go for the renewable energy sources. So all of these sea waves, wind power and solar power, all of these things are renewable energy sources. So the correct answer would be above. You can go for all of these things, all of these sources, because these things are renewable. Those things are never going to destroy. Okay, right. Then the next question. Not a natural reason for drought. Not a natural reason. Okay, so that should be a human interference. Next one. Increasing rate of transpiration in plants. So it's correct. It's a natural one, right? So it's a correct one. Absorbing more groundwater by the roots of plants. That is also correct. Due to increase in the rate of transpiration, more water will be absorbed by the roots of the plants. So it is also correct. Next one. Increase of surface temperature in water of Pacific Ocean. So that's the El Nino effect. Once again, it is a natural reason. Number 4, irregular and overuse of land and water. So that's the answer. Humans are going to do this thing. The land irregularly, and water is also used without any concern. So in that case, wastage of water will occur. So this is the correct answer for the question number 21. Okay, right. A human activity that may cause drought. Human activity that may cause drought. If you take the question 21 and question 22, both of these things are like similar, but however, you have to understand the questions very well. Here the above one is saying not a natural reason. The below one is directly saying a human activity. Okay. Right. Then human activity that may cause drought. Drinking more water. Actually, some might think that drinking more water is going to reduce the amount of water and it will cause drought. But however, drinking more water is not going to harm the environment. Because as we are drinking more water, right, the environment is going to receive that water because we are going to excrete, right? During the excretion process, some amount of water is getting released to the environment. If you drink more water, right, our body will absorb only the amount of water which can be bearable by the body, and the other excess water will get removed as the excretory materials, right? So drinking more water, drinking is, right, not going to harm the environment. Here especially it's mentioned in drinking, not using but drinking. Using means it can be anything. Now to wash clothes, we are using water. To cook food, we are using water. But however, if you turn on the tap and you are going somewhere else, now the water which is being used over there to wash your clothes, now that water will spill and travel here and there. So that's a wastage, no. But however, we won't be able to waste water by drinking. So it's not a good option. So this is incorrect. Next one, blocking drains. Irregular constructions. Construction of houses. So human activity that may cause drought. Okay. That may cause drought. So drinking more water is incorrect. We know that it is incorrect. Blocking drains, once again incorrect, because blocking drains will cause flood, right? It will cause flood, right? Not droughts. Construction of houses is also incorrect, because constructing a house is not going to heavily affect for a drought. But however, my dear children, if you construct a house, if you are going to construct several houses with irregular constructions, now that's going to be a problem. If the constructions are irregular, then it is going to be a problem. Then a drought may come, right? Let's imagine that there is a certain reservoir. Then you are going to, like people are going to fill this reservoir by using soil. Then on that particular land, he's going to make a certain house or else another different construction. Now in that case, right, the reservoir or the water source may dry up, and because of that, due to reduction of water in a certain environment, drought can occur. So irregular constructions will definitely create a drought condition. So irregular construction is the correct answer. Sometimes for irregular constructions, the people will carry out deforestation, right, for the irregular constructions, right? So for the people, now you know that there are reservoirs near forest. So if deforestation is going to carry out in a heavy extent, these reservoirs will definitely dry up. So in that case, a drought condition may occur. So irregular constructions would be the correct answer for this question, my dear children. Irregular constructions. Constructing a house and irregular constructions are two different things. Like the wastage of water and drinking more water. Drinking water is not going to waste water. However, if you are using water improperly, then it's going to waste water. Okay. So you have to understand these things and select a good option, right? Next one. Landslide danger area. Ratnapura, Monaragala, Nuwareliya, and all the above. So all of these districts, all of these areas are in landslide danger area because it has a high altitude. So all of these areas can be taken as landslide danger areas. Not a pre-sign of a landslide. Not a pre-sign of a landslide. Number one, sudden leaking of muddy water on slopes. Correct. Sudden leaking of muddy water. It's because now the water is soaked inside the soil and it is coming out. So muddy water will definitely coming out or leak from the slopes. Next one, appearing new water springs. That is also correct. appear in new springs is also correct. Okay, because sometimes, my dear children, the water will soak into mountains and it will come out from a different location. So people might think that this is a spring. So it's correct, not going to be a problem. So sometimes new water springs will occur because as a pre-sign of landslide. Okay, it's correct. Appear in cracks on the buildings, that is also correct. Right? Now, because of losing soil, or the soil will definitely go down during a landslide. No. So in that case, there can be cracks on the buildings. Okay, buildings means on the walls and on the floor, and sometimes in furniture and all the other things, there can be sometimes cracks. Okay, there can be cracks. So having or appearing cracks on the buildings is correct. But check the final one. Having dry cracks on the land, dry cracks. If a dry crack is going to occur within the land, then that's going to refer, right, for a drought season sign, right? Not for a landslide sign. Dry cracks cannot be observed during a landslide. So the correct answer would be fourth one, having dry cracks on the land. It's not a pre-sign of landslide. Next one. A good cover crop that can be grown. So this is very simple, my dear children. Straightforward theoretical question. A good cover crop that can be grown is lavender. Lavender. Right? Lavender is the correct answer. Next one. Dying or slanting of trees on slopes occur mainly due to. Sometimes trees will die or sometimes they will slant. But here especially mentioning on slopes. On slopes. Now, if these things are on a slope, that means those things are at a high altitude. If it is having a high altitude, my dear children, now there is a high risk of landslide. So the answer should be landslide. Landslide. Okay, landslide should be the answer. Right, next one. Slipping down of a lump of soil with muddy water is called. Slipping down of lump of soil. Now, a bunch of soil or else a lump of soil is going to slip down with water. Now, this incident is called, okay, or this situation is called as the landslide. This is the definition for a landslide. A lump of soil coming down with muddy water. Okay. This is what do you mean by a landslide. The landslide is going to mainly occur because of rainwater, heavy rain. Okay. So with the muddy water and with the water, that particular land is coming down, or that particular soil will come down. Landslide occurs mainly in lowlands near to rivers. Incorrect. Landslides are not going to occur within the lowlands near to river, right? If they are lowlands, there is a less risk of landslide. Okay. Next one. Sandy flatlands. Sandy flatlands. Once again incorrect, right? Flatlands, no. So incorrect. Next one. Lands with higher elevation. Now that's the correct answer. If the land is having a greater altitude, right, then there's a risk of having landslide. Okay. So, lands with higher elevation has a greater probability in getting landslides, right? Main reason for lightning. Heavy rain, having more clouds, high wind, generation of static electrical charges in clouds. Now, the question is asking main reason for lightning, right? So, by looking at these responses, you might think that all of these responses are correct. No. Of course, all of these things are correct, but you have to choose the most accurate answer. So, in that case, you have to select the most accurate answer out of the list which is given. Heavy rain is going to create lightning. It is correct. Having more clouds and having more wind or high wind is also going to create lightning. So those two are also correct. Generation of static electrical charges within the clouds, that is also creating lightning. We know that. But however, my dear children, the most accurate answer for the main reason of lightning thing is the fourth one, the generation of static electrical charges in clouds. What is the reason for it? Because even though there is heavy rain, or else having more clouds, or having high wind, even though these things are there, right? Even though these things are there, lightning will not occur if there is no static electrical charges within the clouds, right? So, in order to create lightning, these clouds should be static. These clouds should be rubbed each other, and they should generate a static electrical charges. Then, so the lightning will occur. So, the main reason behind lightning would be the generation of static electrical charges within the clouds, right? So, this generation of static electrical charges within the cloud is going to happen because of rubbing, right? Because of rubbing water particles and also those, other particles contained within the clouds. Okay. So, these are also reasons, but these things are creating this main reason in creating lightning. So, the most accurate answer would be the fourth one, generation of static electrical charges in clouds. Next one, two plastic strips shift apart at the lower ends upon rubbing due to having same static electrical charges, having different static electrical charges, not having static electrical charges, none of the above. Even we did this activity at our laboratory, right? And you could clearly observe that from the bottom, the two plastic or the two polythene layers are getting apart from each other. It's mainly because of having same or having like charges at the two ends. So, the correct answer would be, my dear children, having same static electrical charges. Having same static electrical charges, right? If they have different static electrical charges, then they would attract each other, not repel, right? Okay. Voltage of a lightning stroke is about. So, we discussed this thing. We discussed this thing under the extra knowledge part, my dear children. And you know that if you take the lightning, the voltage is very high. Voltage is high as like 100 million volts. 100 million volts. Next one. Current of a lightning stroke is about, so voltage is about like 100 million. Then current is about like 25,000 amperes. 25,000 amperes. So, heavy amount of electrical discharge is coming towards the ground during the lightning. Okay. Right. Lightning danger common during winter season, dry season, intermonsoon season, none of the above. So when I was discussing about that previous question related to the intermonsoonal rains, I told you that during the period of intermonsoonal rains, my dear children, this lightning hazard is going to be very high. Okay, the probability of getting lightning is going to be very high during the intermonsoonal rain. So the correct answer for this question would be lightning danger is common during the intermonsoon season. So that's why during the month of April, we receive more accidents because of the lightning. Okay. Maximum number of accidents due to lightning reported in Sri Lanka during. So I told you the answer previously, right? The maximum number of accidents due to lightning reported in Sri Lanka during which month? During the month of April. During the month of April. Next one. Best place to protect from lightning danger. Best place to protect from lightning danger. Closed house, open ground, inside a car, under a tree. So there are two responses which we can neglect because those things are going to increase the probability of getting lightning. Under a tree, open ground. These two can be neglected. Then what are the other two responses? Inside a closed house and inside a car. What is the best option from these two? I told you that when I was discussing about the lightning hazards, I told you that these vehicles, closed vehicles are behaving like a Faraday cage, which can repel away or which can, like within a Faraday cage, my dear children, inside, the people who are inside it will not get harm at all. Okay? Because those things are not going to attract, right? That particular thing is not going to attract static electrical charges in simple electricity. So, inside a car is the best place to be at if there is a lightning condition. Inside a house is also okay, but there is a probability, there is a small bit of a probability that the lightning will travel along the ground. If the lightning strike or if the lightning stroke is somewhat, like heavier, then there is a small bit of a probability that the lightning will travel or the electricity will travel along the ground and it might electrocute you. There's a very less probability. However, it can happen, but inside a car, at least that thing will not happen. Okay, so inside a car would be the best place to be at during a lightning condition. Next one. Not a good thing to do when there is lightning. Not a good thing. That means it should be a bad thing. Disconnecting electrical appliances from the circuit. That is correct, right? It's a good thing to do during lightning. Using a pair of slippers. That is also good. Using a pair of slippers. That is also good. Like I told in the earlier case, it will avoid getting electrocuted from the ground, right? Next one. Wearing a headset and listening to songs by a mobile. Next one. Making a call using a mobile with a glassy body. So I told you that these electrical charges, these things are going to travel from wires. Wires are conductors. So lightning cannot travel like a signal. Mobile phone signals, you know that mobile phone signals are coming as waves. Okay. So electricity cannot travel as waves. In order to transport electricity or in order to propagate electricity from one place to another, there should be a medium. The medium is the conductor. So if you are near to metals, or conductors, there is a high risk of getting lightning. So my dear children, there are two options here. Using a mobile to get a call, and you know that the mobile is having a glass body. That's the first case. And the second one, wearing a headset and listening to songs by a mobile. So which one is the correct answer? Now there should be a correct answer for this question. So what is the correct answer? So like I said, electricity cannot travel as waves, as it is going to travel through conductors. Electricity will not travel like waves. So when you are making a call, you are using waves, okay, signal waves. So in that case, my dear children, you will not get harm. There's no problem in it, right? There's no problem in it. Most of the people in the society who are living in right now, they might think that using a mobile phone to make a call during lightning time period is going to harm you. Actually, it's not going to happen, because lightning is a discharge of electricity. Electricity is going to travel through conductors. If your mobile phone is made up with a glassy body, then there is no conductor. There is no particular conductor, I mean metal. So there is no risk in it. However, if you listen to music by using a mobile phone, using that wired headsets, sometimes if you plug in your charger to the mobile during a lightning time period, then my dear children, there is a high risk, because those things are wires. Wires are conductors. So then there is a risk. But to make a call during a lightning time period, right, it's not going to harm you. It's not going to harm you at all. There's no problem in it. But remember, the mobile phone that you are going to use should be an insulator. I mean, the body should be an insulator. Sometimes there can be metallic parts within the body. In that case, there is a risk. Okay. That's why it's specially mentioned as a glassy body. Okay. Right. Next one. Destruction of buildings due to lightning can be avoided by using special concrete mixtures, using insulators, fitting lightning conductors. Yes, we discussed this thing, right? That's the correct answer. So buildings are mainly getting protected if you use lightning conductors. Lightning conductors can attract lightning or electricity. Then safely those things can be grounded. Okay. So lightning conductors are the ones which are going to protect a building by the lightning hazards. Next one. A blank given should be avoided during a lightning weather condition. This thing should be avoided during a lightning weather condition. Being in open places, walking on wet places, being near tall trees, above all. So being in open places, there is a high risk of getting lightning during, if you are walking or if you are going to an open place. Why is that? Because in an open place, right, the lightning will come without any obstacle and it might hit you. So there is a high risk. Okay, then there is a high risk. Next one. Walking on wet places. If the places are wet, then it carries water, right? So water is a conductor of electricity. The water which we are using is a conductor of electricity. It's because that this water is somewhat, I mean, like it can be mixed with different kinds of substances, minerals, and sometimes different kinds of metallic parts. Okay. So these things will help to conduct electricity. So therefore, the water that we are going to use normally is behaving as a conductor. So walking on wet places, that's not good if there is a lightning condition. Next one, being near tall trees. That is also a not good thing to do, right? Because we know that lightning is coming to the from the highest place. You know that sky or the cloud is located at a higher place. Then the lightning is coming towards the earth. So it's going to find out the easiest one to carry the electricity. So a tall tree can be considered as the nearest possible touching or contact point. So being near a tall tree is going to increase the possibility of getting lightning. So all of these things should be avoided during lightning weather condition. Best place to be within a car or as a closed vehicle, or else within your house, but remember to close down the doors and windows. So above all should be our answer. Next question. Better way to stop natural disasters: using less amount of water, using chemical fertilizer, using less amount of land, reforestation. Now, using less amount of water or using less amount of land, by these two, we won't be able to stop natural disasters. I mean, like, we can, but up to a simple extent. But however, if you do the reforestation process, then my dear children, up to greater extent, we can minimize the hazards of natural disasters, especially from droughts. So reforestation is the perfect answer for the question number 39. A better way, right, to stop natural disasters. Next one. Not a sustainable practice to avoid natural disasters. Not a sustainable practice to avoid natural disasters. Number 1, usage of cover crops. Collecting more rainwater. Making tanks as much as possible. Repairing drainage systems. Not a sustainable practice. So, usage of cover crops is absolutely correct because we can stop or we can minimize the hazards created by landslides, or we can manage landslides up to a certain extent. So it is a good sustainable practice to avoid natural disasters. Okay. Next one. Collecting more rainwater. This is also correct. It's a good sustainable practice because by collecting rainwater, we can utilize these rainwater for our agricultural purposes, sometimes our household activities. So it will help to protect water. So it's a sustainable practice to stop drought. So it can be taken, no problem in it. Making tanks as much as possible. Now it's referring as much as possible. If you make tanks as much as possible, that means as much as possible means each and every empty land, you are going to create a tank. Okay. So that's what do you mean by as much as possible, right? So that should be an incorrect answer. It's going to be definitely an incorrect answer. We have to build tanks. It's good, but not as much as possible. It will definitely use the land irregularly, right? So building tanks is good, but up to a certain extent, up to a certain limit, not as much as possible. So this should be the incorrect one, or the answer for the question number 40. Then let's see the final one also. Repairing drainage systems. That is correct. no problem in it. Repair in drainage systems will help to flow, right, water, excess water which is coming during the rainy season. So it will help to stop flood. So it's correct. So this is the answer for question number 40 then. Okay, right. So we have discussed several questions related to MCQ questions related to the natural disasters lesson, my dear children. So I told you that it's very important to follow up these MCQ questions. By doing several MCQ questions, you will be getting more knowledge. I mean, like, vast area of the lesson will be discussed when doing one simple MCQ question, because MCQ questions are going to reflect all the areas within the lesson part. Okay, so by doing like 40 MCQ questions, now we have covered up huge area from your lesson part. Okay, right. So within this chapter we discuss several MCQ questions then. So my dear children, I'm going to wind up the chapter right now. Then within our next chapter we'll be discussing several other forms of questions related to the natural disasters lesson, right? So I'm going to meet you with the next chapter to discuss those questions then.
To watch these important lessons, subscribe to DP Education's YouTube channel right now. Click on the bell icon to stay updated on the latest lessons. Sri Lanka's largest free online school, DP Education.